Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. Here's what's happening. A 15-year-old boy was fatally shot inside a park in Brooklyn minutes after leaving school on Wednesday afternoon.
This prolonged problem of violence continues even after we head into a new school year. That 15-year-old boy leaving his high school just blocks from this park. He sat on one of these park benches and was shot. Tonight, he died from his injuries. The Brooklyn Laboratory Charter School was already in its third week of classes. Today, students left the building on J Street just after 1:30. A group of teens went over 2 blocks to McLaughlin Park, where police say a pair of high school-aged boys engaged a 15-year-old student in a fight.
A big bang noise.
You thought it was a truck?
I thought it was a truck initially. You know when a car hits a pothole and it goes, I thought that's what it was.
The victim was sitting with 2 girls on a park bench when police say one of the 2 boys wearing all black and a black ski mask pulled out a gun and shot him in his stomach.
Think nothing of it at first until we had seen the kids running down the street, and we had walked over here to see what happened, and the boy was on the floor and we were like, no.
The 15-year-old was rushed to New York Presbyterian Brooklyn Methodist Hospital, where he died. Both suspects, including the teen who fired the gun, ran off. Police tonight are still trying to find them.
They both confronted him. The one ensued with a fist fight or fisticuffs, and that's when he pulled out the firearm.
The NYPD promising to implement what they are calling robust school plans, plans that will ensure every child is safe, especially as they leave a school building.
We see the shooting victims, the shooting perpetrators younger and younger, and it's of great concern to us.
They had just gotten let out of school, and I just came here for my first class, and seeing that the first thing of the day, it's kind of uneasy, knowing that I do night classes and I'm here late at night, and I gotta stay safe.
Everybody just a little shaken up here in downtown Brooklyn. Now, police say they're going to be talking to the 2 girls who were sitting with that 15-year-old, also looking into just what sparked this argument. They say there were at least 30 people inside McLaughlin Park at the time of the shooting. They hope someone saw something and will talk.
If you commit a crime in New York City, there's a high probability that it will be caught on camera. The NYPD is releasing disturbing surveillance videos almost every day.
Violent video after violent video. Some are hard to watch. Who could forget this horrific shooting? A gunman opening fire on a Bronx street. 2 children are caught between the gunman and his target. The shooter just continues shooting. In this one, you see a woman being kicked from behind as she walks down the steps of the Queens Plaza subway station in Long Island City. She is then hit over the head with a hammer as many as 13 times as she is shoved to the ground and robbed. There's also moped-riding thieves and this home robbery suspect. You see him run up to the victim and point a gun at her waist as she is opening her front door.
We are under siege, and we desperately need the help from law enforcement to eradicate the threats of violence that are plaguing our society here in the city of New York.
These videos are released by the NYPD almost every day, asking the public for their help in finding these violent criminals.
When we go back to the early 2000s, we had a mantra, see something, say something. That's the police department's way of utilizing their greatest resource, which is the 8.5 million residents that reside in the city of New York. When we have the public work in that symbiotic relationship with police, it allows and affords the transfer of information to bring violent criminals into custody.
It's no secret the city is plagued by violence, and seeing videos like this doesn't help. Headline after headline is really getting to New Yorkers who just don't feel safe walking the streets. Dr. Darren Porcher is a former NYPD lieutenant.
Oftentimes when we see a video, it sensationalizes the event. However, bear in mind, the city of New York is experiencing a meteoric rise that's escalated to a 37% increase in crime. Any and everything needs to be done to gain precipitous drops in crime to allow us a better component of public safety. So when we see these incidents such as people being robbed at gunpoint, it's something that really creates a situation for us as common citizens to thinking as if we're in a state of emergency.
Crime in New York City is up almost in every category. The NYPD released its crime stats for the week of August 22nd through the 28th. Rape, robberies, assaults, burglary, grand larceny, all up compared to the same time last year. The only category that remained the same, murders. Meanwhile, surveillance cameras are everywhere, recording 24/7, yet some of the perps don't seem to care. But Porcher says it's been proven it's often the videos and photos that lead to arrests.
The NYPD is investigating after a woman in a Manhattan-bound car was shot in the neck.
Officials say a family was driving into Manhattan last night around 11 when they heard a loud noise. A bullet went through their passenger door, grazing the neck of the 21-year-old mother and just missing their 4-year-old daughter, who was in the back seat. The father drove to the hospital. The victim, we are told, is in stable condition.
The NYPD is investigating after 4 men were shot in Brooklyn.
Let me give you a look at the scene here. We're pushing into the area where detectives say the shooting happened. We're hearing from people who live around here. We're in Greenpoint, a community here in Brooklyn, that this is a bike club. We're working to confirm that with police. We have confirmed, though, 4 men were shot. This is according to the NYPD. Take a look at some video we shot within the last half hour. In terms of the victims, a 24-year-old male, we've confirmed, shot in the left arm, taken to Elmhurst Hospital. A 41-year-old man shot in the head, according to police, taken to Elmhurst as well. Another man who police say they haven't been able to identify how old he is, shot in the arm and grazed in the head, also taken to Elmhurst. And a 30-year-old, also a man, shot in the torso, according to detectives. All of them expected to survive, according to police. Now, what led to this? We just don't have those answers right now, but we are dealing with an active scene here. This area mostly industrial, but not too far from neighborhoods. People around here say this kind of thing normally doesn't happen in this area. We spoke to an eyewitness who said he called 911 right after 8:30 when the shots were fired.
I heard the screeching of the vehicle pulling away, and then people were yelling for help. And so I called 911 at approximately 8:34 p.m. I panicked also because, like, I never experienced gunfire before in my life. Not this close.
Back out here live, another look at the scene here. Detectives working the area. We're working to find out exactly what led up to this right as the holiday weekend begins.
An armed robber got away with more than $100,000 and 1,000 blank money orders from a Bronx post office, according to the NYPD.
So the U.S. Postal Service is leading the investigation along with help from the FBI and the NYPD. According to detectives, a female victim in her 50s was targeted here at this U.S. Postal Service location in the Bronx at Castle Hill Avenue and Powell Avenue. Surveillance video from a nearby business shows the female victim and a man walking across the street toward the post office. This was this morning, according to the NYPD, and that man is the victim's husband, we're told. The husband walks away, presumably as his wife starts work, and then you can see in the surveillance the suspect run towards the victim. Police say she was hit in the head with a gun. You see the husband runs over to help her. Police said the husband was responding to her cries for help, and then you can see the suspect forcing them into the post office. Surveillance also shows the suspect walking away with what looks like a big bag just a short time later. Now, the NYPD says the suspect took off with $112,000 in cash and 10 boxes of blank money orders. Each box holds about 100 money orders, we're told. He also demanded the printer for the money orders, according to detectives. According to the NYPD, the suspect forced the couple to bring him to the back where the safe is located, and that's what led to the robbery. Postal inspectors say they're looking for the suspect and not releasing certain details in order to protect the integrity of this investigation.
To protect the integrity of this investigation, we are not releasing the minute details of exactly how this happened. And this is because further on, as our detectives and our investigators and our inspectors are working hard to solve this crime, details like that will not be released to the general public to preserve the integrity of the investigation.
I've worked for the post office for about 8 years now, and this is considered a finance station. One of the smaller branches only have 2 clerks at a time. But there's management, there's supervisors 5 blocks down that they're supposed to come in the morning and open the station with the employees, and they don't. They do not, ever. And you shouldn't come to work scared that you're going to be hit over the head with a pistol.
The NYPD says the suspect told the victims, "Don't be stupid." That's a quote, and another quote, "Do as you're told." This case now being worked aggressively.
The NYPD is searching for a pair of suspects involved in a gunpoint home invasion in Queens last month.
One of the suspects was seen on surveillance video pulling a gun on a 32-year-old woman as she was returning home from shopping. Then moments later, a second suspect arrived. Police say they struck the woman in the face. They tied her up, stealing $19,000 from a safe and $12,000 worth of jewelry. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-577-TIPS.
The NYPD says it has arrested a Brooklyn man in connection with the fatal shooting of a 25-year-old woman near Union Square in Manhattan. According to authorities, last Thursday morning, the victim was found shot in the head near the University Hall dorm at NYU. After an investigation, police arrested 44-year-old Clarkson Wilson on Saturday morning and charged him with murder and 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon. And finally, the Brooklyn District Attorney is looking to throw out nearly 400 convictions based on testimony from 13 cops who were later convicted of on-duty crimes.
Brooklyn DA Eric Gonzalez is asking the court to dismiss 47 felony convictions and 331 misdemeanor convictions. All of these cases involve testimony from 13 corrupt police officers.
I wound up spending 30 months of my life in an upstate facility, and I'll never get those 30 months back.
Gregory Barnes spent 2.5 years in prison for a crime he says he did not commit. He was convicted in 2006 for selling heroin. Barnes says he pleaded guilty because he had a prior record for robbery and was afraid he would get a longer prison sentence because of his past if his case went to trial. Well, now Brooklyn DA Eric Gonzalez wants Barnes' conviction dismissed because the detective who testified against him was later convicted of being a crooked cop.
When I received the information, I was beyond happy. It was very good news.
The Legal Aid Society represents Barnes.
The officer in his case, Detective Jason Arbini, was convicted of planting evidence on other people and, accusing them of drug sales, which are felony convictions.
Barnes is among 378 convictions DA Gonzalez wants dismissed because 13 former NYPD officers were key witnesses in their cases, and those officers were later convicted of various crimes while on duty. The DA saying the integrity of every arrest the officers ever made is now questionable and erodes public trust.
What it says is that this new regime in Eric Gonzalez's office is taking police corruption very seriously.
They think that they're above the law. They think that they're not going to get caught. And slowly but surely, they're coming to find out that they are, and they're not above the law.
Now, all of these arrests happened between 1999 and 2017. And by the way, no one is currently in prison because of their conviction.
That's this week's Crime in the City.